Thank you so much for watching these videos. My name is Kamia Simon, and today let's update our playlist. All right, so if not done yet, just go to your folder and then you do php artisan serve, okay, and then you do php artisan serve from the bash. All right, so I have mine already running, so I'll do a localhost 8000. Great, the site is loading. Okay, and then I'll stroke with dashboard because we are working on our dashboard. Right, so that's what we have. I remember that we were adding things in the playlists. So you could come to the playlist and you add anything to the playlist. Okay, so I'll just add anything just like that. And then press save, and you can see we already have this. All right, so let's do update our playlist. So, okay, I need to start Notepad++. All right, so we're going to go direct to our view. Okay, and I think we can add a button here. Let me see. Okay, so we already have one that adds to the playlist. I think we can add one down here, which is going to be edits. I'll just copy this. And then I add it to a TD here, table data. Okay, and then I'll end the TD. All right, so if I save and come back and refresh, okay, we have a button there, and I'm just going to call it edit. Okay, so button. All right, the button name is supposed to be called edit, type button. Okay, so I'll copy this again, and then I add it here. All right, so the button name is going to be called edit. All right, so if I refresh, there we go. So I want, the moment I click on edit, okay, right now it's bringing me to the add playlist. So if I type anything here, it will just create another playlist. But I want the moment I click on edit, all right, the first thing it does is bring up another model where we can edit certain fields here. All right, so I'm going to go and copy the other model and put it into the loop here. Remember, we created a for loop. All right, so I'm going to go and copy this model. And I copy it and I put it under the for loop here. Great, so that it can loop even the IDs inclusive. Right, so I'll just change this to update playlist model. All right, so I'm going to go to this button and I make it point to maybe an ID of the playlist title. So I'll just come to this and I add the blade for the playlist title. All right, so if I refresh here and then I choose to inspect. Okay, if I go under the table, okay, there is the update model. So it's the update model is almost on each item because it's in the for loop. But you can see here that the target is the ID, and the ID is given the name of music. All right, so which means I'm going to go to the model and I also add that kind of music because the model is in the loop. All right, that kind of ID. All right, so I'll just need to copy this, which is already copied. And then I come, instead of add playlist, I add that ID. All right, so which means this will be update playlist, just as the title, update playlist. Okay, and then even I'm going to come to button here and I choose and okay, the logo will be update playlist store, sorry, but this logo for the moment is not necessary. But if you come to the button, instead of save changes, I can put update. All right, so I also want to have the playlist name. So if I refresh here, let me remove the inspector and I choose to edit, you can see it's update. So I also want to have the playlist name, this actual playlist name, as a value that is going to take in the changes. So I'll go to the action here should be, okay, let me get to that, but instead of this as a placeholder, I'm just going to add value, and that value is what is submitted the other side. So the value is going to be in the beginning, the value is going to be the playlist title. So if I do refresh here and I choose edit, you can see it's bringing the playlist title. Now, I want to push certain things. For example, I want to push the ID and the playlist name to the other side into our route. All right, so let's do that. So we're going to come to our form. Since we are updating, the action here will be a post. First of all, the method here will be a post. So I'll put post, and then we're going to add the URL, which URL will be so blade, okay, sorry. The URL will be the blade, okay. So it is URL, and inside that URL we are taking in one, the method that is going to be the route that is going to be in the web route, which will be maybe update playlist, and then okay, which is going to be in double quotes, and then we take in the ID of the item that we are updating, which will be now this value. Remember, this value is in the for each, okay, and then it points. Now it can be like this, okay, and then you point to the ID. That's also good, but what I do, I usually do an array. I submit the array item like that, which array item will be a string of ID. Great. So we just need to go to the other side of the routes, and then we add these values plus the ID that is being posted. All right, so I'm going to come to the route, and then I choose to route to, so I'm just copying that, and then I paste down here. Right, so this will be a post. We are posting, and then the value should be update playlist, and then at principal controller update playlist. All right, so we save that, and then we're going to go to our principal controller. So we're going to have a public function which public function is going to be update playlist, and it is taking in, first of all, the request element from our HTTP Illuminate here as imported, and then it takes in the request variable, okay, and then it also takes in the ID of the item that we're sending, which will be also $ID. All right, so let's see that we are receiving the right properties. For example, we're going to begin with the ID, so we're going to do a DD, which is dump, and then plus the ID, so $ID. Right, so let's first do that test and we see if we are actually receiving these items. So I'll refresh and then I try to submit. So music, I expect it to be on ID1, video ID2, just like that. So I'll update and then I see. All right, so it's routing and then this is not found. Is it skipping our die dump? Let me just double check. Update playlist and die dump in my route. All right, so in my route, I've not added the ID, so I'll do a stroke and then I add the ID. And that, I think, was the issue. So I'll save and then refresh again. Okay, so the ID this time around is being submitted. All right, and you can see we have a value of 1. I expect this to be ID 3. Update. You can see we have ID 3. Great, so we're going to receive what is in the request. So I'll come back to principal controller. So we're going to add a variable, which variable I'm going to call a new playlist name. New playlist name is equal to 1. It is equal to the request, and which request is taking in an input, which input has the name value of a certain item. Okay, so what's the name value of this? I'll come back to our playlist and then I look for the name value. Update playlist. What's the name value of the input? The name is playlist. Okay, so I'm going to call it update playlist name. Update playlist name. Okay, so if I copy this and then I go this other side of the principal controller, then I paste the input. So if I get this variable and I put it under our die dump, save and I refresh. Okay, and then I choose update. You can see it's taking in the value. If I go back and add something on this and then we choose update, you can see it's taking back the value. All right, so all we have to do now, we've done our die dump and we see that we're receiving the items very well. So what we're going to do is actually create our update. So I'm going to do a variable that is going to be called update playlist. Update the playlist. Okay, update the playlist. And then which will be equal to, first of all, what do we want to update? We want to update the model playlist. Okay, and then in the model playlist, we want to find where the ID, now the ID, the string column of ID, and is comparable to the ID now, the other variable that we imported. So the variable that was imported up there. Okay, so, and if we have that, what do we want to do? We want to update. And, okay, so we want to update. And we want to update the whole array. So I can terminate down here. So in that array, what do we want to update? First of all, we want to update the title. So the title of the playlist, okay, is what we want to update. Remember, this must be in the model too. So we want to update the title in the playlist, which will be the same as the new playlist name. All right, so I add a comma, then I save. Okay, if I come back and refresh, once again, choose edit, then add something on music, update. Well, everything is updated, but it's still going to that particular ID. So it's very simple as I doing a return back. So after update, so you do a return back. Now, before I complete the return back, let me just go back and you'll see that the playlist actually should have updated. So if I refresh, you can see it's updated here. All right, so I'll do a return back so that whichever item I do, it returns back after updating. All right, so I'm going to come to maybe this playlist and I make it meaningful. And then I choose to update. Well, after updating, it updates it even here. All right, so let's work also on visibility, and within the visibility, I'll do a bootstrap model. Let me see, get bootstrap.com, a bootstrap option form. If I go to documentation, then I look for forms. I think forms are under components. All right, so under forms, I'm looking for this kind of form. All right, so which is this example select. So I'll do, okay, this select. And then I copy it. Come and paste it here. Under the input, I'll paste it here. If I save, come back and refresh our playlist, and then I choose to edit, you can see that we have that selection. Now, I wanted to show the visibility, okay? So which is the current visibility. So which means it is as simple as, remember we're still in the for loop, okay? So I'll add a visibility of 0, 0, 1, and then I want it to, by default, show the current visibility that is present. So which is going to be this available. Copy. And then I paste it there. Remember, we're still under the for loop. So if I come back and refresh, I edit. So you see the current visibility for that is 1. If I edit this one, the current visibility will be 0. That's great. So we're going to submit the value. So which means, first of all, each of these should have a value. So value equals, now the value should be of which option, okay, that is being chosen. So value equals, for example, for this it will be 0. And then if I choose another, for this it will be 1. So value is equal to 1. Great. All right, so we're going to give this whole select a name, which name will be maybe update visibility. Update visibility. Visibility. Great. So if I go back to our principal controller, the only thing I need to do is maybe copy this and then paste it below, and then I can call this new visibility, new playlist visibility. Visibility will be equal to update visibility. So I'll just copy this kind of name that we've given it here. Then I take it the other side. So will be equal to update visibility. Great. And then even here, it will be available considering new visibility. So this is available. Available, which will be equal to the new visibility. Great. So I can save, refresh. Then I'm going to update the visibility of music 1 to 0. Update. Great. You can see that has changed to 0. I can update the one for meaningful to 1. Update. All right. So what's the purpose of having this visibility? I can create a condition. For example, I'm going to go to the view, and then in the table here, and I add an if. For example, at if this available, Okay, this pointing to available, okay, is not equivalent to 2. Then I'm going to end that. Don't show. Okay, so at end if. So if the visibility of an item is not equivalent to 2, okay, of a playlist is not equivalent to 2, you show it. But if it is equivalent to 2, do not show it. Now let's refresh. So everything here is equivalent to 2. Now let me come and update, and I give it a value of 2. First of all, I need to add that value here in my select option. Great. So the value here will be 2. Even here will be 2, and then I save. So if I come and refresh like this, for example, I'm going to go to each that has 0 and I give it a value of 2, and then I update. Wow, you can see that place has disappeared. Let's work on the last playlist, and we give it a value of 2, and then I update. You can see, so whichever value has 2 is not visible. And if I come to the database, okay, the update is already arranged. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is my simple database password. Okay, so you can see each of these that has 2 is no longer showing there. All right, so I'll do edit these so that we have them showing. And that's the purpose of having this visibility. So which means if I go to the other side, let's have I've designed the front end, any value that has 2 or a playlist may not even show for the customer to see. All right, so thank you so much for watching these videos. Do not forget to subscribe, support. If you want to sponsor, the links are down in the description. Let's meet in the next video where we're going to consider the delete. Thank you so much. Let's meet in the next video.